Alright, so here we are with the Chapter 3 review. It is technically the test review, but hey. Alright. So we are going to do the first half in this video, so we're going to be doing number 1 through 16 actually. That's 10 of the problems, and then there's 10 more after. So, we are in part 1. Okay. So, the first one wants you to complete the sentences with some of the vocab that we have been doing. So the set of x coordinates of the ordered pairs of relation is called the input. So if you remember, the input is what you're putting in, and then the output, or the y, is going to be what you get back out. Number 2, if one set of data values increases as another set of data value decreases, the relationship can be described as having. So let's think about this here. As one value increases, so we're saying the x's get bigger, another set of data goes down. So that means that if we start up here, we would be going down. And so we're going to have a negative correlation or slope, depending on what you want to look at. Alright, then the next one, we're going to express each relation as a table and a graph, and then identify if it is a function or not. So let's see, I think the table is easiest, so we'll go with our x's and our y's, or our input and output. So our input is -1, output is 0, input is 0, output is 1, and then our last input of 2 and an output of 1. So if we graph what we see, it's -1 up nothing, 0 up 1, and then 2 up 1. So remember that if it's a set of points, we're not necessarily going to connect them, because notice this isn't a function, it's just a set of points. And so if we're looking at the vertical line test, so any vertical line that goes through here, it would not hit 2 points at the same time. If we were talking about horizontal lines, yeah, that touches 2, but it passes the vertical line test, and so therefore it is a function. Alright, then we do the same thing for the next one. So we've got our x's and y's and our coordinates. Plugging in -2 gets a -1, -1 gets a 1, 2 is a 3, and 3 is a 4. So as we plot these, -2, -1, -1, 1, 2 3's up here, and 3 4. And again, it is given as a set, and so we are not going to connect them as much as we want to. And so taking a look at our vertical lines, any vertical lines that we draw would not end up hitting 2 coordinates at the same time. In order to do that, we'd have to have an x that doubles, which we don't see there. And so it passes the vertical line test, and so therefore it is a function. Alright, then we move on to giving the domain and range of each function. So remember that the domain are the x values and the range are the y values. So I'll put that right here. And so if we take a look at number 11, the domain is going to be represented by the values of x, and those values of x are going to be -4, -2, 0, and 2. The range is your y values, so we'll just list those. Let's see, I want to list them from least to greatest, so -1, 1, 3, and 5. You can, of course, list them in whatever order you would like. However, least to greatest is generally how we do things. Alright, then number 12 is the same idea, our domain and range. They're not saying if we need to identify if it's a function or not, so we're just identifying the domain and range. So listing all our x values, that's -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. And then our range is, let's see, -1 3 times and 0 twice, but either way, just those 2 numbers. Alright, then in number 13, our domain, again the x values, is just going to be the list of 0, 1, 4, and then 1 and 4 again, so 0, 1, and 4. And then the range is, let's see, -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. And then for number 14, notice that there are endpoints here, and so it does stop. And so looking at the domain, which would be how far left and right it goes all the way to -4 and stops, and then to 3 and stops. You'll also notice that they're filled in, so that means less than or equal to. And then we're talking about the x's, so that's our domain. And then the range, how high does it go and how low does it go? Let's see, it goes to a height of 5, goes to a minimum of -3. We're talking about all the y's that are there, and since it's a solid circle and a solid line, we're talking about all of the numbers that equal those. So looking from left to right, that means the smallest number is -3. It's less than or equal to, that doesn't even look like English, okay, -3, less than or equal to a y, which is also, again, equal to the 5. So that's your range. Alright, then we move on to our last two here. We're going to give the domain and range of each relation and tell whether it's a function. So, in number 15, remember that your domain is all the x values, and so we're going to list them. Let's see, -5, -3, -1, and 1. Alright, and then for the range, we have -3, -2, -1, and 0. Remember that we're looking for a repeat of the x's, so the domain does not repeat. And so because it doesn't repeat, it passes the vertical line test. Either way, it is a function. And then in number 16, this is a very weird way of looking at a table, but basically 16 is saying that these are your x's, these are your y's, and if you put in a -4, you're going to get out a -2. Then if you put in a -2, you're also going to get out a -2. Plugging in a 0 means that you'll get a 1, and plugging in a 2 means you'll get a 1. So as non-conventional as that was, all we're looking for is if we have any repeats of the x's, and so no x's repeat, and so because of that, it is a function. Of course, the y's repeat, but that's not what we're looking at. Alright, so 17 and on is going to be part 2 or day 2, so we will wait to do that until the next video.